Hi everyone, thank you for watching our video. We've got lots of other amazing online courses available on the Morales Method website. Please follow the link in the description to see our other online courses.
Hey folks, today I'd like to talk to you about deep tissue techniques for the glutes. So I'd like to show you some deep tissue techniques for the glutes in addition to talking about how we're actually going to palpate the tissue and how we're going to employ these techniques using proper body mechanics. I'm going to keep the discussion on directional resistance pretty short. We do have other videos that go into the topic of directional resistance, so look out for those. But here's a brief explanation of palpation for the actual glute tissue. When we're palpating the glute tissue, and any tissue really for that matter, we want to feel for what we call directional resistance. And directional resistance is that palpatory sensation that you get when you sink into the tissue and you move your tool, fingers, knuckles, elbow, in one or more directions, and you feel resistance in more than one direction. So let's feel for directional resistance. And what I'm going to do, the way I'm going to feel it, is with my elbow / forearm. And I'm going to sink in. Let's start by feeling directional resistance lateral to the sacrum. So I'm by glute muscle, by piriformis muscle. So I have to sink in and wait for end range. End range is that feeling that I get where I can't sink in anymore without being forceful. I don't want to be pushing, and that's important. I don't want to be pushing into the tissue, into my client. I want to be able to feel like I'm sinking in. Speaking of body mechanics, I'm going to change my forward leg. My left leg is forward. That allows me to lean on the table a bit, and I can lean on Elena's right side a bit. And again, I'm not pushing, I'm sinking in. Now that I've sunken into end range, I can now feel for directional resistance. I'm going in the superior direction, and I'm recording in my head what it feels like, how easy is it for me to go in that direction. I feel a little bit of resistance. Now I'm going in the medial direction towards the camera. Feels a little resistant as well. Now I'm going away from the camera towards the wall. Doesn't feel as resistant. It feels pretty easy. And now I'm going towards Elena's feet. And that's the one that feels the easiest. Feels like I can easily move towards Elena's feet. And you can tell, you can see that I'm not, moving around like this. If I was moving around like this and you could see how much I would be moving, that to me tells me that I'm too superficial. The fact that you can really can't see the movement tells me that I'm sunken into that layer of depth that is end range. The movement is minute. You don't need to create a big long stroke when it comes to deep tissue techniques. So again, as I sink into end range and I go again in these different directions to feel for directional resistance, I feel that going towards the camera is the direction that gives me the most resistance. Sometimes the client can feel that. Sometimes directional resistance is palpable or is discernible to the client in the form of tenderness. So sometimes I'll ask my client, how does this feel? Does it feel tender to you? So Elena, does this feel tender to you when I go in this direction?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. It's not always the case, but sometimes you'll be able to feel it, the client will be able to feel it in the form of tenderness. So now that you know that directional resistance, now we can do something with that, and you can create strategy of techniques using that information. So now I'm going to show you some deep tissue techniques that use that information, that create a whole session specifically tailored for the client and their directional resistance. Keep in mind that the directional resistance in this area could be different than here, could be different than the other side of the sacrum, so we always need to sink in, we always need to palpate and feel for what the tissue is telling you. I tell my students that the client's body will tell you how to create a session. So if you pause and listen to what the client's body is telling you, that will help you help them the best.